bags were horror lies.
Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Tuesday night reviewer. And apologies, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Completely missed last week's review and obviously this one, it's late. So my apologies for that one. Life's just a bit busy. Kids and work and everything. But anyway, I decided to bring you a review of the 2024 movie Starve Acre. So folk horror from the UK. From Yorkshire, actually, in the UK. Came across this one doing my 2024 watches. And so this one, I've got just a few notes I've written down just to help me remember, because I watched this maybe 2 weeks ago now. So it's Matt Smith and Morfydd Clark. So strong cast straight away. And they're a married couple. He's a teacher or a lecturer at a university and they have a small kid together. And basically the kid has an asthma attack and he doesn't make it. He dies at home. Like the ambulance doesn't have time to get there. And so a lot of this movie is dealing the grief on their own, the characters and as a couple, and how they're kind of trying to navigate through life. Morfydd Clark's character, her sister, comes to stay to help. So yeah, it's just about the dynamics of them and how they continue. So Matt Smith's character, the lecturer, he actually takes a sabbatical from work, and to kind of help him refocus, I guess, he decides to do an archaeological dig in the garden. What he's actually looking for is this old tree. It's like this tree from it was used during pagan times. I think it was a tree of death. It's called the whistling tree, and it's something that his dad, we actually find out through this monologue at one point, one of the best parts of the movie actually, that he was basically abused by his father. Well, not sexual abuse, but like physical abuse because I won't give too much away, but yeah, he was abused by his father, and he was always talking about his character, Dandelion Jack, who's this pagan spirit kind of thing. So he actually manages to find this tree, and it's kind of weird, like it's buried underground. It was cut down, but obviously all the tree roots are there. And so yeah, he finds that, and he finds the bones of this hare or rabbit. And so he brings it back home, puts it in a box. He's trying to find all the bones, puts them all together, so it's a complete skeleton. But when he keeps checking on it, he puts in this box, it's actually starting to grow tissue again. And it actually, throughout the movie, grows more and more until we get this full hare or rabbit. It's obviously a manifestation for something else that we find out a bit later in the movie. But yeah, so the movie's kind of going on through all this. We have Morfydd Clark. She's kind of dealing with her grief. There's what would you call her? God, my brain's gone blank now. She's like this woman that comes to help. Like she speaks to spirits and stuff like that. And so Morfydd Clark, she's starting to get visions of her son. And basically, there's this one scene where she confesses to her husband, to Matt Smith, that she didn't freeze when he was having this asthma attack. She kind of let him die. But then she's trying to explain, it's like, because she has this connection with his hair, which obviously from bones is now alive, running around, and that it's almost like it's her baby. She's breastfeeding it at one point, which is kind of weird, but you can see it's become this manifestation of Dandelion Jack. And she's saying that we get a second chance at life if we help Dandelion Jack pass through to the spirit world because he's trapped. And so it's kind of okay. So our son needed to die for that. So he's trying to kind of process all of this. He's talking to one of his colleagues about this tree. He comes out and they're like amazed at like this tree. There's no degradation of the bark or anything. It looks perfectly fresh. It's like it should be dead and all these things. But Morfydd Clark, she's convinced that he's come to take the rabbit. So she comes and brutally stabs him with a kitchen knife. to which she eventually passes away. And that's when she explains that Dandelion Jack, she explains to her husband that it needs three sacrifices, and the poor sister is still there, so she gets sacrificed. I should have said the spoilers in this, my apologies. Sacrifice the sister to bring, I was going to say bring, yeah, so it's like, so actually Dandelion Jack, apologies, he's not in limbo trying to pass through to the spirit world. He's in the spirit world but wants to come back into the real world, and they allow this, that they bring this to fruition for him, and then the movie ends. So there we go. That's kind of the run through the movie. I mean, fantastic performances. I mean, Morphy Clark, I love her in St. Maud. She's like utterly fantastic in that. And Matt Smith, though, kind of, he's like a unusual looking guy, and then like he's getting into some unusual kind of roles and that. But I kind of liked him in this. He was pretty good. So it's a really good couple. Very, very strong. Very, very strong on the acting side. And the believability, like how they are together as a couple, and when they're going through grief, how they're different, how they deal individually with their grief and as a couple. It's kind of all very nicely put together on this great. So it's kind of like almost on like the moors. It's like in Yorkshire. So it just looks really great. They're in this old like farmhouse sort of thing, and it's great. Yeah, because I think this is set in, I think it's the 70s. So it looks great, but we don't we get glimpses of who Dandelion Jack is. It's like there's bits and pieces flitted throughout the movie, but it's nothing. We're not given any full backgrounds. There's no exposition about why this is happening and why it's suddenly clicking, and like why did she suddenly have the idea? Why is Dandelion Jack suddenly contacting her after this time, and all these things? So there's a lot of questions with this. I don't think the movie is setting out to give us any like solid answers. It's just like, well, here we have this pagan spirit, and it wants to be in the real world, and that's kind of it. So it's a little, you're a little confused at times, but when as soon as you see the rabbit, you're like, well, it's a manifestation. They keep talking about Dandelion Jack, so we know what that is, and it's kind of like, I wouldn't say paint by numbers, but for a folk horror, it's kind of like, it's like an introduction to folk horror. It's like what a folk horror movie is. If you don't know, you want to watch one to learn about how they are, watch this movie. Yeah, so maybe maybe folk horror for beginners, maybe. Obviously, like I'm working my way through the Severin set, All the Haunts Be Ours, and like some of that is kind of a bit crazy. So it's like you need to brush up on your folk horror and like the different ways people kind of attempt to make these movies. It's kind of not always the same way as you'd expect a horror movie to be, but then I think I was going to say pagan horror. I think folk horror is its different way. It has its roots in different areas, how it's trying to connect with it, what the message is trying to be. It is a little bit different. It's a genre of horror. But like I said, this is definitely one to kind of to ease you into it. But anyway, that's the end of the review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.